Hi, I'm Iridium. Hope everyone's doing all right today. It's album review time. Before I get onto the album, I just want to say a massive thanks to the band Ilium that sent me this brilliant t-shirt all the way from Australia. Australian band Ilium. I wore this on this particular album review because I think fans of Saxon or any metal fans really will love this band. Please check out their EP called Quantum Evolution Event that was only released a couple of weeks ago. It's absolutely brilliant. Done a review of it as well on this channel. So everyone watching this video, check out that band. Absolutely fantastic band. Thanks very much for the t-shirt. So let's get on to Saxon and Carpe Diem, the band's 24th studio album. Absolutely mental. This came out Friday, so yesterday, February the 4th, 10 tracks, 44 minutes and 18 seconds long, released on Silver Lining Music. Now, just my experience with Saxon is that they were one of the first bands I ever got into when I was younger. I went to see them on the Eagles Landed tour. I think I might have seen them again as well a bit later on. Could have been the Power and the Glory tour, I think. But absolutely fantastic band. Obviously one of the first new wave of British heavy metal bands, along with Iron Maiden, Praying Mantis and all them bands. So absolutely fantastic band, and been so consistent over the years as well. Even some of their albums, I suppose, that were looked at as weaker albums were still great albums because they're such a great band, and have consistently been bringing out albums every couple of years, and they've all been fantastic. They've sort of almost kept in line with what they used to be, but sort of introduced a slight heavier sound, I say, a slightly heavier sound on their more recent output. Maybe a little bit more modern, sort of tying in with the sort of power metal sort of bands, but not power metal, but having some slight elements of that. But this album is really going, for me, back to classic Saxon. Even, I would say, looking at the album cover itself, which I love, almost got shades of their debut. And I'm not talking, I know it's a completely different scene where you just had the Saxon guy on the front of the debut, the big picture of him. It's sort of the colours and the colour of the Saxon logo is very sort of in tune with the debut album. It sort of feels like this, and musically on this album as well, it's sort of going back to basics a little bit, I would say. Still some elements of that sort of modern touches now and again, but more, I would say, classic Saxon. And I think that's sort of done on purpose. It feels like it is, and it's all the better for it. This is probably one of my favourite Saxon albums altogether. I absolutely love this album. So like I said, 24th studio album, that's mental. No weak tracks, guys. Absolutely no weak tracks. I'll tell you, there's something to love about every single one of them. This is, like I said, classic Saxon with some modern touches, just not as many modern touches, I would say, than previous albums. Produced by Andy Sneap. It's a great production on here, and again, it does feel like it's a bit stripped down, back to basics, old Saxon. I think that's done on purpose with the production as well. It's a great production, absolutely love it. It's pounding, it's heavy, it's crystal clear, absolutely brilliant. So let's run through the band. Obviously some of the members, well, in fact, a lot of these members I've been looking at, they've been with the band a long time, so they've honed their skills, obviously. We've got to talk about Biff first on vocals. What a performance on this album. It's just, I mean, I did a reaction to one of their songs only a couple of days ago. It got actually taken down. 2 of the videos got taken down by YouTube. Full copyright blocked, which I was gutted about. And that was Carpe Diem and The Pilgrimage. Both got taken down, and it pissed me off. It doesn't do anyone any favours. I wouldn't make money out of it anyway, you know, and it would get, I know they don't need any plug-in, but I would have liked you guys to have seen that video. I really would. You can check them out on Facebook if you want to look at those videos. So Biff Byford, as strong as ever, even sounds stronger to me than recently. Honestly, you'd think it was like mid-80s. Absolutely fantastic vocal performance throughout this. Just And he's got that voice, hasn't he? You know it's him as soon as you hear him. I love that about character in vocalists' voice. I fucking love it. So Biff Byford's just fantastic. You've got Paul Quinn, who also was an original member. I think they started in, is it 77 or 79? I think they actually founded, and Paul Quinn's been with them since then as well. Fantastic guitarist, and he teams up with Doug Scarrett on the other guitar. He's been with the band since 1996. Absolutely brilliant performance from the guys. There's riffing, there's classic riffing, there's some more modern sort of riffing as well. It's heavy. They sort of swap about all the time, twin leads in between solos. Absolutely fantastic from both the guitarists. And then you've got Nibs Carter on the bass, been with the band since 88, and Nigel Glockler on the drums, been with the band since 81. On and off as well, Nigel Glockler, but mostly been him on drums. So, like I said, hone their skills. It's thumping, it's heavy, the rhythm's so tight, the band sound tight. It's absolutely classic Saxon. This is an excellent album. I do run through my favourite tracks, and like I said, there's no weak tracks, but I don't want to keep banging on every track, and I've got to this stage now where I'm doing my reviews a little bit different, just touching on my favourite tracks. Someone said the other day when I did an album, what about this track, what about this track, what about this track? They're my favourite tracks. There's nothing wrong with the other tracks probably. They're just the ones that stand out to me. So that's what you'll be hearing on this review as well. So we start the album off with the title track, the first single, Carpe Diem, Seize the Day. Love this song. It's got a really nostalgic feel to it, this song. And straight away when I heard the first single, this one, I thought, yeah, this is getting back to basics. This is the Saxon I really love. Although they've been consistently good, this was even more what I love about Saxon. It's really noticeable, that nostalgic feeling as soon as this song comes on. I think this is such a catchy song as well. The main riff, the way it stops before the Carpe Diem part, it's just so catchy, unbelievable. The groove is just infectious. Great metal track to kick the album off. Then we move on to the next one I want to talk about, Age of Steam. This is track 2 actually. A great mix of old and new Saxon I felt on this one. Those heavy pounding riffs are just exquisite. The chorus has that modern Saxon touch, while I think other parts remind me of classic Saxon. It's a great mix on this song. Brilliant track. Next track I want to talk about is The Pilgrimage. This was the last single. At the moment, this is my top track on the album. I just love it. It's an epic track. It's beautifully paced track which just glides along. It has got the Crusader feel for me, of that sort of speed of track and the feel of it. I was trying to think, there's a lot of little riff that goes on it when the song gets going properly, and as I was doing the reaction, I was thinking about this riff and what does that remind me of, and I thought about it now. And whether you agree with me or not, it doesn't matter, it's only me thinking this. It really reminds me of Hell's Bells. Down, 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 that part of it from AC/DC, of course. Classic, brilliant riff, I love it. An outstanding track that just ticks all the boxes for me. Next track I want to talk about is the second single, Remember the Fallen. Man, I love this track. Brilliant. I think it's a future classic actually. Shades of tracks like, for me, like Never Surrender come to mind when I listen to this. Obviously lyrically, it's about the COVID pandemic. You know, some bands could write a song like this and it be a bit ridiculous of what it's about lyrically, but I think Saxon tackle it brilliantly, looking at, you know, heroes, remember the fallen, remember the heroes that we've lost. And I think it's just a fantastic take on, you know, that subject matter, which could fall flat on its face with other bands. Absolutely fantastic song. Next song I want to talk about is Lady in Grey. I love this track. It's medium pace this time, heavy chugging riffs, mixed with sort of melodic guitar melodies, some cool atmospheric keyboard touches throughout, a little bit of piano touches I felt. Not a ballad, but probably the closest you might get to a ballad on this album, but definitely not a ballad. This is a metal album, but that's probably the closest you'll get. That's all I can say. The last track I want to talk about is Black is the Night. An excellent galloping heavy riff kicks this off, and it's almost perfect mix of classic and new Saxon again. I see this track as a bit of a lesson, teaching a lot of new, younger bands how to write a powerful riff heavy track. Absolutely fantastic song. Love that slow section in the middle that sort of breaks the track up before it goes back in. An absolutely brilliant track. So you do get 10 tracks on this album. Like I said, that's all the ones I want to talk about. They're my favourite. I think it's the perfect length for an album as well. 40 odd minutes, 10 tracks. That's just how you want it. It sort of flies by as you listen to it, but it helps it being brilliant, obviously. This is a must buy, guys. Saxon, Carpe Diem. An absolutely fantastic return for the band. I'm sure they're going to be back in a couple of years with another classic album, but this is brilliant. Honestly, guys, the excellent English heavy metal band Saxon are back, and they're brilliant. Let me know what you think of this album if you've heard it already. Let me know if you think you're going to get it, what you think of the track so far. Totally recommended, guys. I'll see you next time.